7. Alrighty. Instagram's done.
X is done.
Alrighty.
Let's begin.
Hello and welcome to the Warrior House podcast, where Warrior Pride lives. I'm your host, Ryan Reingart, joined by my co-host, Mike Sangster. Thank you for joining us on episode 97 of the Warrior House podcast. Happy May at the point when you're hearing this. Happy May.
It's going to be May.
And it's hot and it's warm. And we're
Today,
in the middle of baseball and softball and tennis and outdoor and yard work and everything else to do outside. It's pretty fantastic.
it's been a glorious weekend so far. Not, well, maybe not so much for Wayne State Athletics, but we are going to start out with some good news that happened this previous Friday. And as reported by Crane's Business Detroit, which shout out for them for reporting this and not our own student-run newspaper. Whatever. Big news for the football team is that they are getting a $1 million locker room renovation. And from what I understand, it's been a long time coming. The locker room was last done in say 2004, I believe, when they added big things like air conditioning and fresh lockers, things like that. So this is going to be huge for them. Recently, I think even when I was going there, they had built on an addition to the locker room, and it really wasn't clear what that was for when they did it. Turned out it was a home locker room for De La Salle. Now that they're no longer using it as their home field per se, they're able to tear into that, expand onto the current locker room, and also turn the current coaches' offices into various film rooms for the position groups. It's going to be really cool when it's done. Actually, if you are pretty clever, you can go on to Wayne State's construction bidding website page and you can just find the architectural plans for what this is going to look like. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I missed that news. I see the article you're talking about on Cranes. It looks like it's more than just football locker rooms. If I'm reading the right article, it's 150 million for a bunch of capital projects, campus security upgrades, and things
Yeah.
like that. So very cool that athletics gets to be a part of that. Hopefully, I'll read that article at some point and see what other kind of fun stuff
Yeah.
is in there. But
The lowdown from the rest of it is that what are they spending? They have to do a bunch of facade repairs on various buildings, including Old Main and the student center. Also, there is another athletics thing in there, but it's not hype or anything. The NCAA is now requiring that baseball and softball have padding on all hard surfaces around the field, and so they have to have that put in so that people don't get hurt because that sucks to run into a hard fence, things like that.
yeah, not what you want to have happen. Good find there, Sangster. Good stuff for the
Yeah.
football team, especially going into as we get closer, surprisingly, to the start of football season. Very good stuff from them. So, with that, let's take a look back. We had, as we mentioned, a lot of outdoor sports at this point. Pretty much everything's happening outside, except for tennis, I guess. They're sometimes inside because the weather's still not perfect. Softball, Sangster, we had a doubleheader back on Tuesday, April 22nd. The softball team was out at Ferris State and we swept them. We had a doubleheader there. We won the first game 5-2, and we won the second score by a score of 3-2. And you had a fun fact on this one.
I'll credit Wayne State for putting this one out directly on their page. This is softball's first sweep at Ferris State since 2015. Big stuff from them. 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say that's 10 years ago. That's
Yep.
a good amount of time. And that goes pretty deep into the time that Gary Bryce was still the head coach
Yep.
of the Wayne State softball team. So it includes a lot of the really, really good years for the softball team. So that's a really good milestone to see there. And two very, very high quality wins. And as we talk about these next ones, I'm glad we got those two at the very least. Because on Friday, April 25th, the Wayne State softball team headed to Purdue Northwest. This actually ended up getting moved to Sunday, the 27th, due to weather. and Wayne State lost game one 5-7 and lost game two 4-12. So again, I say I'm glad we got the doubles. We got two wins over Fair State to kick off this very long road trip because it doesn't get much better after this day.
Yeah, well, the day before that, they actually had to go to a doubleheader at Grand Valley that Saturday, April 26th. And unfortunately, Wayne State lost those ones 0-3 and then lost the second game 1-3. So yeah, they had to get that high from being at Fair State, sweeping them, followed up odd weekend road trip because of the weather at Purdue Northwest. They might have had to drive there and then drive all the way back to Grand Valley and then go back to Purdue Northwest. Tough stuff going on there, and especially that Purdue Northwest one sort of hurts because you could have had a better ending to your season. That's all in the past now because, as we're going to talk about, they did make the GLIAC tournament again.
Yeah, I will say if it's any sort of consolation, not to talk too much about the seeding here, I don't know if two wins, if two of those losses flip them to wins, I don't really think it would have made a difference in the standings. I think we would probably had to win at least three of them. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really make a ton of a difference there. But nonetheless, you're closing out the regular season. You got two really big wins. I mean, hang your hat on the fact that you got two really hard fought wins against a very good Fair State team on their diamond and kind of think about what you can improve on against those, especially that Purdue Northwest series. I mean, that's really one that could be that type of game could come back around. We're going against a team like maybe we feel like we should be able to beat, or we got to make sure we're putting our best foot forward. And yeah, so at the end of the day, we're going to be talking about the Wayne State softball team in the second half here. But before we talk about that, I do want to say one more time, they are so far ahead of where they were last season. I mean, we're going to be talking about them here for postseason, which is an improvement. So, good stuff from them.
Yeah, and like I said before, I kind of forgot that they made the GLIAC tournament last year, and well, that they also didn't do much. I think they're in a much better position this year to make some noise. Uh, and I think I had it on my notes last year that I track this team a lot to our men's basketball team right now. That yeah, that they've had to rebuild under a longtime head coach, and now it seems like the pieces are coming together. They've made some strides. Not it's not the end yet, but there's a there is a light at the end of this tunnel, it seems.
Yeah, increasing that conference win percentage from a little under 38% all the way up to, I believe, 43%. I mean, that's a pretty good improvement
Yeah.
there just year over year. So, anyway, we will be back to talk about the softball team here in the second half, but let's talk baseball, Sangster. What happened?
Last Tuesday, April 22nd, there was a game at Finley, which Wayne State just crushed them, 11-7. And then following that up, there was a four-game weekend home series against Davenport. The note coming into this game is that we really weren't within striking distance of Davenport, but anything you could get here against right now the GLIAC leader with wins, the Grand Valley's getting close. Uh, Anything you could get them there helps your seeding into the GLIAC tournament. So Wayne State starts out really well. Friday, they end up winning 9-8. It was an odd game because this game started on Friday, ended up being suspended until Saturday. And shout out to Mason McGuire. He's a senior utility player, but he was playing second base and catcher in this game. He hits a 3-run bomb over the Green Monster. That thing's probably on the Lodge or on I-94 right now. To get Wayne State that win, and he hit it in the bottom of the eighth. Right after that is when they had to break for the weather. And I'm gonna guess it was probably too dark, even if the weather cleared, to continue play. For whatever reason, I guess it's different than the MLB. They didn't just call the game then and there. They resumed that play at the top of, I would assume, the top of the ninth on Saturday. Wayne State holds on to win that game against Davenport. Unfortunately, Davenport said, "Hey, we're the best team in the GLIAC right now. Sucks to be you." And they shut out Wayne State 0-9 in that second game on that, well, first game on Saturday. Games 3 and 4, Wayne State also lost 4-2 and then 12-3. So series as a whole didn't go Wayne State's way, but they were able to sneak one out of there.
Yeah, and for a team that is Wayne State, of course, is what we're talking about here. For a team that's trying to climb up the standings a little bit, as we talked about having a down year, being able to at least get that first game over Davenport doesn't necessarily salvage the series here. I mean, I definitely feel like this is one that you got to come out of this one at least splitting. Like, sure, Davenport is statistically better than you this season. Um, but this is another one of those, like, I don't know how many wins makes that much of a difference for this team. I think it makes a little bit of a difference, but when we're talking about Davenport and Grand Valley, they're so far ahead of everybody else in the GLIAC standings. Well, again, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the second half as the baseball team has a huge series coming up in front of them to close out the regular season. But nonetheless, I mean, they went out there, they got some runs scored, but man, Davenport is just, it's very weird that like they're just very good at baseball. I don't know. There's something about Davenport that doesn't sit right with me, and just it just doesn't seem like they should be at the top of the standings. I'll put it
Well,
that way.
and in fairness, that they had a massive turnaround this season. They went, I think they might have been last or close to it in the conference last year.
I
Now
think
they're
you're right.
first, have the chance to win it all. We do have a game final from a previous weather delay against Purdue Northwest. Wayne State has now won that game today, Tuesday, April 29th. It was at Purdue Northwest, not Gary, but Hammond, Indiana. Uh, we smoked them. 14-4 at the end of the game. Wayne State had uh, 14 runs off of 12 hits, and they had 4 home runs. Yeah, just an overall great game by Wayne State, it looks like.
And it's a win that we absolutely needed. Again, not talking too much about the standings yet, but that ties us for the third seed. And a little bit of foreshadowing here. We're going against the team that we're tied with this coming weekend. So we'll talk about them. But that's a huge win there. I mean, being able to get a win that you absolutely need to go and get. But we saw with the softball team, like it doesn't always work out that way. Just because you're the better team and you have the momentum going and all that. Sometimes you go in there and the teams that aren't playing for really anything are the ones that are the scariest. And well, that's what
Right.
happens with Wayne State softball in that series. So
Yeah.
good call out on that game today, Sangster against Purdue
Yeah, it looks
Northwest.
yeah, it looks like a big one here. Drew Hill had 2 home runs in this game. Also, Reagan, Paulina, and Jacoby Dale also had home runs. No doubles or triples this game, though. And as far as pitching goes, a little different than I've seen. Oh, batters fade. No, it doesn't say who started, but yeah, pitching overall was pretty good. 4 runs, especially against 14. You'll take that any day. On a day when your offense clearly showed up, uh, which it has come in spurts. As we'll talk about, this team it has felt like a Jekyll and Hyde a bit, but Wayne State was able to pull out this very important win here.
Most definitely. So, as I mentioned, we'll be talking about them here in the second half of this episode. But good stuff from the baseball team closing out and kind of patching up a little bit of a rough weekend from them. So, that was a very, very must needed win. Track and field was also in action. They were over in Hillsdale for the Hillsdale Outdoor Tune-Up. And this is, I guess this was a team scored event here. Out of 11 teams, Wayne State scored number three. Sangster, if you actually can you pull up the teams that were actually, well, obviously Hillsdale was part of this, but I'm wondering what other teams were in there as well. Really quick, talking about some of the happenings for Wayne State here. There was a school record set. What a surprise there! A 4x100 meter relay by Kataya Jones, Elise Miller, Hannah Bashenson, and Rachel Overgard. They did end up finishing second in that event, but that was good enough for a new school record at Wayne State. The 100-meter dash, Wayne State swept the podium. We had Elise Miller, Rachel Overgard, Emanuela Johnson in the 5,000-meter run. Our number one runner for the track and field team, Reagan Justice, finished as number one overall. 100-meter hurdles, we got Kanisha Thomas got third place. 400-meter hurdles, Mackenzie Wellner got second place. And last but not least, in the high jump, Olivia Finley, first place. Lots of podium finishes there. And another school record. I mean, at this point, it's becoming an episode standard for us to mention what school record the track and field team set, and they did yet another one.
Yeah, really good stuff out of there. I can't find the total uh, what do you call it, number of teams that showed up. However, Wayne State did finish behind 2 GMAC teams that were there. Uh, the Hillsdale Chargers, who got second, and Finley ended up winning it.
I knew you were going to say Finley. I just felt it. You said GMAC. I'm like, it's Finley.
Finley,
Darn Finley.
for whatever it's worth, Finley even historically has had very good track teams. It actually was kind of their thing in when they were in the GLIAC too. So they're still keeping it up in the GMAC.
Well, good for them, I suppose. Cool city, say that. But anyway, so good stuff from the track and field team. We are also going to be talking about them here in the second half. They're on to GLIAC championship time, so we'll make sure we mention them here a little bit in the second half. Back to Augusta, Sangster for women's golf.
Friends, we had the weekend GLIAC championships in Augusta, Michigan at Stonehenge North for the women's GLIAC championship. Wayne State ended up with a third place finish uh, in stroke play the first couple days. They had a fantastic first round and a rough second round. However, moving on to medal match play, they unfortunately lost to Ferris State, who, despite tying them as players were matched up, Ferris did have a lower stroke total. Unfortunately, Wayne State was unable to advance to championship Sunday, and they are where they are.
I definitely thought they were going to advance too. Really quick on that one. So stroke play meaning like this is basic. Like every player is out there, they're playing for their team. Their total score gets aggregated, and that school gets a total running score above par, below par, whatever. The top four teams from there advance to medal play, and that's just a bracket at that point. Your top scoring golf team plays number four, two plays number three, and in this case, as Jim Nance, Mike Sangster mentioned. Wayne State did actually tie Ferris State, but because of the total stroke count, Ferris State got the nod there. And I was following along. I really thought we beat Ferris State in this one. I was like, oh my goodness, we're playing for another GLIAC championship, but just got dragged away from us. A friendly reminder, though, as well as the women's golf team played, which by the way they did. I think this is fantastic for them that we noticed that they were having definitely a down year from what they've had these last couple of seasons. They just had a lot of turnover happening here. But the men's golf team, as a friendly reminder, did win the GLIAC championship. They were able to make it to championship Sunday. And our women's golf team was close. So good stuff from them. Took Ferris as far as Ferris wanted to go. I mean, to the point that like they had to look at a tiebreaker in order to get past us. So I'll hang my hat a little bit on that one.
Yeah, overall, at the end of the day, Wayne State achieved what they needed to, which was a good finish uh, in the GLIAC tournament. And it does follow that I think that Grand Valley was up there with Ferris in this one. Both of those teams were ranked
Yeah.
in Division Two, so Wayne State right under them. We'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Selection Monday was just yesterday on April 28th at 5 p.m. And this is where the field of D2 women's golf teams get selected. And Wayne State was one of them. In the East region, 18 teams were selected. I believe Wayne State is at the number 9 or number 10 ranked. So I don't think it really matters where it's ranked at. I think you just kind of go in and like, you got to play the best. There's not any head to head that's happening as far as I know. I believe it's all stroke play and the best teams, podium finishes. And then from there, your nationals selectees will be selected and so on and so forth from there. So all you got to do is get in the game, be part of the party, and Wayne State is. So good stuff from them. They get to put their best foot forward now, go out there, hit the links, make sure some putts fall, make sure that wedge chip game is looking nice, maybe stay out of the bunkers if we can,
And the water.
and the water. And maybe we'll be looking at some good stuff here. I mean, we saw that they're close. I mean, they're challenging some of these ranked teams coming down the stretch. So maybe some of these golfers really started to kind of turn a little bit of a corner and improve as we get closer to the end of a regular season into postseason play.
Yeah, and I just pulled up the uh, list of teams that are going to get in from the East region. Like I said, there are 18 teams getting in. Wayne State is getting in as number 9. They're one of 5 GLIAC teams that are going to be in there. You've got Grand Valley at number 2, got Ferris State at 6, Wayne State at 9, and Saginaw Valley at Davenport at number 10, and Saginaw Valley at number 15. That's a lot of GLIAC
Yeah.
teams. So
Yeah, quite a few.
yeah, basically the entire field. I think there are only seven or eight uh, teams in the conference that play women's
Yep.
golf. So we'll take it.
Yep. So we will be off from golf for a week. We'll be talking about them in the next episode because regionals are not happening this coming weekend. So we got a little bit of a break from them. So we'll be back to talk about golf here next week, but good stuff from both teams. We get to continue talking about those teams through May. So that is fantastic there. All right, last two sports things. We got some tennis action. This was a full weekend of tennis action for Wayne State. And starting out on a Friday and Saturday, the Wayne State men's tennis team was in Midland, Michigan. Before we talk about what happened here, we had some awards, some accolades for some of our tennis athletes. Cedric Drenth, Player of the Year for the GLIAC. George Day and Tom Wasner got second team doubles partners. Cole Anderson was an honorable mention there. And if I'm not mistaken, Cedric Drenth and I thought his doubles partners, I thought they were got some honorable mention as well. I could be getting them confused with women's tennis though.
Let's see. Thought I thought that what are they? Thought that George Day and Tom Wasner got in as individuals, but I also could be wrong on that. Okay, yeah. So they got in on the single side. On the double side, we did have Cedric Drenth and George Day getting into All GLIAC first team.
That's right. Okay, so George Day and Tom Wasner were second team singles.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. I misread our notes there. So,
That's
but
all.
more accolades than I even thought we got. So that's pretty cool
Yep.
stuff there. So, yeah. So the very first round, Wayne State got to take on Fair State. This was a very, very close match. Fair State was able to get the doubles point in this one. So Wayne State was playing from behind here. And it comes down to the very last set. I was actually watching this one on Flow Sports. Awful stream, by the way. Absolutely terrible stream. It was on somebody's phone, and I kept hearing the notifications go off on their iPhone. So that was annoying. And also, they didn't level the phone, so it was like crooked. It had a little lean to the video. That was also very annoying. So figure it out, Flow. Like, what are we doing here? We can get some better production for conference championships, but I digress. This one went down to the final singles event, and this was against. I want to pull that up really quick because this was as I was watching this one, I was kind of sweating bullets a little bit. It was Tom
Elites.
Wasner versus Eric Kovacs from Ferris State, and this went into extra points in the third set, and Tom Wasner was able to get the win there and moved Wayne State on to Sunday, which was championship Sunday. And they went against Grand Valley, and I guess I don't know whatever happened there. So we'll move on to another sport. We
No.
Grand Valley did what Grand Valley men's tennis does. They absolutely shut us out.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was kind of a beatdown in every sense of the word. Only one set got close to winning. George Day almost won his match, but it went unfinished because everyone else lost. So tough day on Sunday against Grand Valley. I thought I saw on Instagram or something this is only like Grand Valley's third GLIAC tennis championship, though. So good for
Yeah.
them. Maybe they get to win one
I
this season.
suppose. One thing I want to call out, and I know we're going to talk about tennis here again.
Yeah.
You mentioned that like a bunch of the events were not finished because Grand Valley won enough. That is one thing I really, 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 really wish Wayne State had was six indoor courts. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic when you have all of it going on. And I thought about the fact that you can host a lot of these big events, and I know Wayne State could host some of these bigger events with the facility that we do have. I don't think it's required. It actually might be required that you do have six courts to be able to host some of these championships. But just watching that happen, I'm like, that's very cool. We definitely have the space for it. Like we could figure out how to get two more courts in there. And if that happened, that would be fantastic. I love the outdoor courts, but six outdoor, six indoor, not many schools have that. And I really wish we had that. I wish that was on
Yeah.
that $150 million bond you were talking about earlier.
Right. We do have to contend with some space issues at Wayne State, though. I you know what? We hosted them at Detroit Mercy because I remember we hosted a regional event, but we had to have it at Detroit Mercy because the courts were kind of not in great shape. So
Yeah.
it may just be that we can't have all of the GLIAC over. It might just be that we can, however many are in the regional that we would host, could probably start out that way. So
Yeah.
is what
I
it is.
just
But yeah,
And I guarantee you, we would have a better video quality than whatever they had at the Midland Tennis Center. So that's all I'm saying. I think we can set
Keep
some
trying.
better stuff up. Here's
In
one thing that we
fairness,
had. We had cameras on every single court. I remember watching that back in the day, and I don't know if we still do that, but I remember seeing like little webcams everywhere. I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do. But this one, no, they just threw it in the farthest corner of the indoor tennis facility. Good luck seeing court six way the heck over on the other side of Rhode Island, and that's what we
we'll
had to
need to
deal with.
petition them to do the same thing at GLIAC championships because I remember trying to watch the 2022 men's championship and it wasn't that great of an experience
No.
either.
No. So yeah, sorry, Louis Klaus and Ignacy Garos. Like we couldn't see your event at all. All we could see was Cedric Drent sweating. Like we had that at least, so that was kind of cool. But the other five courts were mysterious. So anyway, I'm on a soapbox. Get me off the soapbox, Angster.
Well, the NCAA is going to release its third installment of the regional poll tomorrow, April 30th. We'll kind of get an idea of where Wayne State's going to end up. The full selection show is going to be on Monday, May 5th. I would expect that Wayne State's going to get in, given their pretty lofty stature. You got to the championships in the GLIAC. You've played some pretty tough opponents. You have a pretty outstanding record. So
Yeah.
I think they're going to get in. We'll know for sure on May 5th.
For sure. I mean, I think Grand Valley, Ferris State, and Wayne State are probably locks to get in. But yes, we will talk about that next week. We'll make sure we hold off on recording next week until we can fully unveil what regionals looks like. So,
Yep.
with that, last but not least, women's tennis. They were also up in Midland, and this was actually on. Was this on Thursday and Friday? I don't even know what the days were
I
anymore.
think it was
But
Friday and Saturday as well.
you are right; they were the same days.
Yep.
So, yeah, starting out, a couple accolades here. Big one here. Coaching staff of the year for GLIAC is this Wayne State women's tennis team. Well deserved. I mean, they blew through all the competition through the regular season, with the exception of some of those Florida teams that we went against, your Berries, your Nova Southeastern, what have you. Nobody GLIAC regular season could hold a candle to this team, and it was fantastic to see. So I don't think there was any argument about who should have been the coaching staff of the year in this one. Good stuff from them. We got another player of the year in Anna Rusine. Very well deserved. She's been just lights out for a very, very long time. Talking over on the singles, Anna Rusine and Malik Arafat got the first team. Dea Gorgitz was second team, and Shantala, I don't have her last name in front of me. I'm sorry, was an honorable mention. And then looking at the doubles teams, I'm sorry, yes, doubles teams, Anna Rusine and Dea Gorgitz got doubles, and then Malik Arafat and Justine got second team. So a mouthful there, lots of stuff, but these are teams, these are squads and athletes we've been following that have just been doing this all season. So very well deserved.
Yeah, and like you said, this team had a flawless record going into the GLIAC championship, and kind of said at the beginning, winning is the expectation. Anything less would be a big letdown. It kind of. Let's chop off the word "big" off of that. First, on Friday, they got a shutout win over Saginaw Valley, who advanced in their match earlier, but Wayne State shut them out easy. Unfortunately, that next day, Saturday, Grand Valley won it 4-3. And it's the exact opposite of what happened to the men's team. Wayne State did everything and it came down to the wire. Started by winning their doubles matches, and then 5 of the 6 singles matches were decided by a third set tiebreaker. So we
And
had
the only one that wasn't was Honest Rusine with
right.
a blowout singles
Yeah.
win. So that was good for her.
Yeah, Honest Rusine and Malik Arafat won their singles matches, but unfortunately we couldn't get that third. So Wayne State unfortunately loses the GLIAC championship. Again, NCAA is going to release its third installment of its regional poll, same day as the men's, tomorrow, April 30th. We're going to have a selection show on Monday, May 5th. Again,
Yeah,
I think they're going to get it.
I think so too. I think we're going to be talking about them next week. And I hate saying the way that you said it, because I completely agree that we kind of lost this one. I mean, we definitely should we have beaten Grand Valley. I mean, we were undefeated in a GLIAC regular season play. We didn't lose to anybody. And it's one of those, like, you win that doubles point sweep, that, and we talk about it all the time, that all you got to do is split. Go out there and win 3. If you lose 3, whatever, you win the whole match. That's the idea there. And we just couldn't do it. I mean, we were close. I mean, it does really stink that 5 of these singles matches go to the third set and we lose all but one. I don't want to say that that's necessarily bad luck, because I mean, this is a game of skill, but that is pretty bad
Can
luck.
be.
That like we couldn't swing out
Right.
two of those five. Only one of them is what we get. And like I said, the only other win that we get, fantastic win for Anna Rusine, winning it lights out in two sets. So she was probably done playing for about an hour, and everybody else was still going into extra points in some cases for these events. So shows how good she is there. But yeah, you got to look for that third win somewhere, and we just couldn't get it.
Yeah, looking back, I think it's kind of the opposite of that 2023 GLIAC championship that the women's team had. So I remember they were going against Grand Valley, and it was a 4-3 win for Wayne State that I think that they had to get also on that last third set tiebreaker. So that's just how it swings out sometimes.
Yeah, this is a team that should have a banner coming home with them. And unfortunately, they're not. But fortunately, their season is not over. At least we would probably
Should
bet
not.
a pretty good stack of money that their season is not over. They got more business to handle, and we'll be following them this whole time. And that's not to say this is not a fantastic season so far. It was a very, very successful, a relatively successful season. Did a lot of good things, and they have more work to do. So good stuff from our women's tennis team. Hoping we get another shot at Grand Valley and we can knock them out.
Absolutely.
So with that, Sangster, that's all we had over the last week. So just a couple of sports to talk about here in the second half. So we'll do a quick break, and when we come back, we got just a few things to talk about.
I know that a golf regional starts next Monday,
Oh, does it?
but it's
Women's
odd.
golf. Yep.
Yep.
It's what?
Well, it's odd just because it's a Monday and nothing really happens
Oh,
yet. But
yeah, we can throw that in there. Ooh, live stats. Do they already have it up? Nope. Oh, we do have participants though.
for
Um, if you look into the live stats for that women's golf regional, it shows all of the schools, although I think like five of them just have like individual golfers. They're not like the full team. Yeah, some of them say like one player.
yeah,
Yeah, there's 24 and there's six. There's six schools that I think only have one golfer there.
yeah, that makes
Cool.
sense.
The Meadows at Grand Valley.
Imagine actually having to like have your own on-campus golf course when we can just have our choice of like any of them.
Hell
We don't even need the Detroit Golf Club anymore. We got TPC.
yeah. Oh wow. Meadows is like tucked in behind Lubbers.
Yeah, I remember driving past it.
Interesting. God, they have a lacrosse and track stadium.
We don't need lacrosse. Grand Valley can have lacrosse.
Fair. All right.
Sweet.
The Meadows. May 5? May 5.
Yep.
I really do, I don't know how quick I can find it. I think I tried to look for it. Like, what do you have to finish at regionals to go to nationals? Is it like the top four teams, top five teams? I guess I could look at what last year was, 2024 NCAA D2 Women's Golf Nationals. 18 teams and eight individuals. Uh, see full championship release here. Okay, so they don't follow shit. They just pick. A, they picked five from the East region last year, which is what Wayne State is in.
Yes, because there are different numbers in each region.
So if they took five, then they're saying they're taking like 40%, whatever that is, I'm assuming. Okay. Well, at the very least, so top five is probably safe. It might be four, it might be six this year, but considering you have to be rated like top five, that's probably a safe thing for us to.
Let's see if there's anything in the Wayne State thing. So they made it out last year because here we go. The low, not top, get it. Low five teams in the East and West regionals, and the low four teams in the Central and South. Now
Got
the
it.
low two individuals not on those teams, so that doesn't matter.
Yep.
Not on those teams. So that is kind of
Cool.
wild though. Like if you were like the best golfer, but you were on the worst team, you don't get to move on.
Right. That
Well,
is
then
pretty
again,
weird. Well, maybe you would. If your team doesn't get in, but you kick ass, maybe you would get invited as a
well,
singles.
no, if you're well, you would get into the regionals. But if you were the best golfer, but the rest of your team was not good at regionals only, you
Mm.
wouldn't.
Wait, what does the statement say for nationals on that? Like you said, like and the best two.
Along with the low two individuals not on those teams. Oh wait, well, when it says not on those teams,
The ones that were selected. That seems like that would make sense to me.
not on those teams. Okay, so it's not just talking about so if one of the individual golfers initially selected to regionals would be the best, they would move on.
But if like Wayne State wasn't top five, and but Sable Amesh was the
That
greatest in the field, she would get invited.
that's what it sounds like.
Makes sense.
If those means those teams who get in.
Makes sense. Cool. Good note.
But that doesn't matter. We're gonna
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
be
get into
first.
the low five.
Yeah. Um, whoops. Well, let's knock the second half out, and then I have question.
Okie dokie.
Oh, and hopefully I don't forget.
Let me get softball Leax. Softball 2025 tournament. Baseball standings. Let's see if it updated. It did. It did. Wayne State and Parkside are tied in conference play.
Yep.
Okie dokie. That is what we needed.
I hope Vizard suggests my little rant about the bullshit video quality as like our short video to go to TikTok.
fix Division Two tennis videos, please. We beg of you.
Do less bad.
Mm,
Also, Wayne State people see this, so you can also understand that our conference is
good.
it's a good conference, but low, low, low budget production.
Mm.
Let's at least go to the MAC. They care. They have ESPN Plus. Alrighty. Are we ready?
I believe we is.
Let's roll. And we're back. Lighter schedule. Tennis is off. Both our men's tennis and women's tennis teams are off for a week, so we will not be talking about them. Our men's golf team is off for a week because their regionals don't start until late next week, so we'll be talking about them in the next episode. Women's golf we'll save for the end because we are going to mention them. But starting out, Sangster got some GLIAC championships happening over in Allendale, Michigan. Our women's track and field team actually later this week, starting on Thursday, May 1st, continuing into Friday, May 2nd. The track and field team is the GLIAC championships. Pretty exciting stuff for them.
Yep, at no other great location than Grand Valley State University because they have a building.
But
But
this
yeah,
is outdoor.
that's well, they have correction. They have a full track facility outside too. So
They sure do. That it was we found out they share with lacrosse. Let's make sure we add that in there. They also probably have lacrosse. I actually don't know. Do they
they
have a lacrosse team?
oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
of
Grand
course they
Valley.
do. What don't they have? Culture. All right.
I'm in.
So good luck to our track and field team. I don't know what happens after this for them. The state of them. I don't know what NCAA's seems like for them, but we do know that they can compete quite well. They're continuing to put on some good performances. Pretty high team. One thing I actually didn't look at, Sangster, is there like seating or like general standings when it comes to GLIAC outdoor track and field? My assumption would be like maybe we're three or four. That's kind of just where I would place them at, but I'm just shooting in the dark here.
No, I mean, really the only thing that the GLIAC could do would be to keep track of individual athletes and their times, things like that. I don't think they do because all of these teams do before GLIAC championships is competed in all different invitationals, and I'm sure it's kind of up to the uh, actual schools which ones they compete in and how many they do before GLIAC time, which is why Wayne State sends a bunch of squads out to California and maybe some other schools don't do that. All trying to, not only train for the GLIAC championship, but get good times in for upcoming NCAA championships as well. So that's probably the biggest thing that they're looking at is setting the best time possible.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yep.
So yeah, good luck track and field team heading out there. I'll be following along a little bit with those stats over those 2 days. Hopefully we can get some podium finishes, probably set more school records. What else would be new? It's
I
kind of
mean,
the expectation at this point. So that's what we got going on there. I'll take softball really quick here, Sangster. We got a 23-30 overall record for softball, 12-16 in conference play. Regular season is over. We are not doing that anymore. Now we're talking about the GLIAC tournament, which is happening at the Parkway Bank Sports Complex in Rosemont, Illinois. And I actually have not looked at the bracket here, but starting out on May 1st, Wayne State comes in as the fifth seed and they get to take on Parkside, who is the fourth seed in this tournament.
yeah, I do have the bracket. Well, before we get to the bracket, one quick point, 23 wins overall. That the last time they had that was in 2021. 2021 was Gary Bryce's last season coaching the team. So they didn't play nearly as many games that year because 2021 was still odd times. But they matched their win total. 12 wins in the conference, I think, is still pretty up there. They might have had more in 2021. I can't remember right now, but overall, a good season for this softball team. But like I said, they're on to the GLIAC softball tournament. Your number one seed is Saginaw Valley, number two, Grand Valley. Number three, Ferris State will be taking on number six, Roosevelt. And like you said, number five, Wayne State will be taking on number four, Parkside. They get game number one of the day at the Parkway Bank Sports Complex in Rosemont, Illinois. It's going to be at 11 o'clock Central noon Eastern. So tune on into Wayne State softball. Hopefully they can get that win. Not all hope will be lost if they lose that first game. It is a double elimination type tournament. So if they end up dropping that game, they would be facing the loser of either Ferris State or Roosevelt. But our hope is, especially with that 5 seed, that game can always go either way. Uh, so our hope is that Wayne State will be moving on instead to face Saginaw Valley, the best dang team in the conference. But that's how it crumbles out, and Wayne State certainly has a shot here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to throw that out there that this is a double elimination tournament. So one loss does not send you back home here. And from what I can see here, we have faced Parkside 4 times this season, and we've gone 1-3 against them. So has not we haven't fared extremely well so far. But nonetheless, they've been very close games for the most part, with the exception of one of them. So, I mean, this is a team that we can match up against very well. And a win here definitely does a number for this Wayne State team. You know, as you mentioned, Sangster, it moves them along to, yes, take on Saginaw Valley, but at least you're going into Saginaw Valley with a game below your feet still. You know, you're not in the fire at that point. You're just, you know, you're always kind of standing on the catwalk above the fire. So that's what the situation is there. But really good stuff here. I think the team can avenge a couple of those losses against Parkside here and get off to a very good start and move on into, you know, through GLIAC tournament. See how far they can go. I mean, I don't know. You mentioned 2021 was the last time we've won as many conference games as we have. I don't know what the best finish was for this team in the GLIAC tournament since then. I'm sure you could probably find it in due time, but I think
Excellent
this
song by Killswitch Engage, by the way.
it is a fantastic one. So again, I think this is one of those where you know we can make it into day three. You know, we really can, and it's not the hardest thing to do. Really, you got to just win one of those. You just win one of those games, and you're probably into day number three. And at that point, you know, you're playing for house money. At that point, I don't think anybody expected Wayne State to really essentially make it to the semifinals of this tournament.
Yeah, it certainly could happen. And even so, Wayne State has, they didn't get the series win, but they do have a game that they won against Saginaw Valley pretty convincingly, 8-3 as well. So it can happen. And we're hoping for the best for Wayne State in the GLIAC softball tournament. Moving on to the other diamond sport, baseball currently is sitting at a record of 22-24 and 10-10 in conference play just after today's win over Purdue Northwest. The GLIAC tournament is a lock. Right now, Wayne State is sitting at the number 4 spot, and the top 6 teams get into the tournament. Uh, right now, Purdue Northwest is dead last in the conference at 3-17. There's no way that Wayne State can drop below that or even below Roosevelt. So right now your current standings are Davenport at 18-2, Grand Valley at 18-6. This is all conference, by the way. But importantly, Parkside just ahead of you is 10-10 in conference play. Like I said, Wayne State is also 10-10 in conference play. And just below them, Saginaw Valley is 9-11 in conference play. So there's 3 teams bunched right up against each other, all trying to vie for that number 3 spot in the GLIAC baseball tournament. And so you notice I said Parkside. Guess who Wayne State gets to play for their last regular season series this year?
That team from Wisconsin.
Well, they're in the number 3 spot, and it's Parkside. And just this year, Wayne State has felt like such a Jekyll and Hyde type team that they'll have outstanding, dominant wins, and then sometimes it just goes the exact opposite way. So, what Wayne State team are we going to get this time around? I don't know, but I know that we've got them at home. This is your not just senior day, but this is your senior series for the rest of your seniors uh, to end your season and to see what you can do to end this season on a high note and get into the GLIAC championship on a high note as well.
Yeah, this is a big weekend for them, and I know we talked about that last weekend was as well. And unfortunately, it only ended up being a 1-win, 3-loss weekend for Wayne State against Davenport. But now you're going against the team. We're at home, by the way. We're taking on a team that we're going up against. So I mean, in this one, you know, we talk about yeah, handle your business at home, but a 3-1 record here does everything for you. Everything that you need to do relies on you need to get those 3 wins. And I don't entirely know the tiebreaker rules. I don't know if after that, obviously it would go to head to head, which in this case, if we split with Parkside, well, the head to head record means nothing because that doesn't set a difference. I don't know if the overall record comes into play there. That definitely does not work out in Wayne State's favor, but that's by design. We go and play all these fantastic teams early on in the season. So our overall record is never something that we're saying, hey, look how good we are. Like that's not how this team operates.
Right.
So big time weekend for Wayne State. You mentioned Saginaw Valley just behind us at the fifth seed. They are taking on Purdue Northwest. So if there was any more angst and anxiety filled weekend here for the Wayne State baseball team, probably more so for us fans, if I'm being honest with you. They're just going to go out there, play baseball, and do what they do. Saginaw Valley's right behind you, and they're taking on the bottom feeders of GLIAC. So there's not much floor below the Wayne State team. So we're playing for the 3 spot. But the 5th spot is also in play, depending on the outcomes of really what Wayne State does. It doesn't really matter what Saginaw Valley does in a lot of cases. I mean, Wayne State, if we sweep them, who cares what Saginaw Valley does? So that's what they're playing with this weekend.
Yeah, and if Wayne State ends up, what would they have to do? They would have to get 2 wins, and so yeah, they would have to get at least a series win, 3-1, I believe, to end the series at five. Yeah, to end the series at 500. Well, not the series, the entire season at 500. Uh, which if Wayne State doesn't get to there, it would be Wayne State's first losing season since 2015. And depending on how they do, it is in play that they could be below 500 in GLIAC play for the first time since 2003. That is a testament, though, to how good this baseball team has
Yeah.
been over the past 20 something years. Uh, and so, whatever happened this year, there is still a lot of baseball to be played. I could be eating crow right now. Wayne State could win the GLIAC and end up in the NCAA tournament and win it all. It could happen. But whatever didn't exactly go the way they wanted to in the regular season this year, nip it in the butt now, but especially over the off season before it snowballs. But overall, this might be a down year for this team just this year, but certainly still a good season. Uh, just maybe not quite what they've done in the past few years.
Yeah, I mean it's a long stretch of being probably the best, if not one of the top two, maybe top three teams in GLIAC, and you've been doing that for over 20 years. That's pretty damn cool. So I mean, at some point, you don't do that. Sometimes the other teams get kind of rolling. Sometimes you have
Yeah.
revolving door type years, and that's a little bit of that for this team. But we're still talking about the fact that they could be the 3 seed in this tournament. So a
Right.
3-1 record is all we're hoping for. Just go out there, win 3 games. That's what we got to do, and I think we can do it against a team against Parkside. I mean, there's no reason for me to believe that on our own diamond at home field that we can't make that happen. Knowing what's at stake, knowing the experience this team has, knowing the everything that we've done over the last few decades, I think we can absolutely do that. So I'm hoping we're here next week talking about the fact that Wayne State's entering the GLIAC tournament as the 3 seed.
Yeah, 3 seed would be ideal. That means you get to face the number 6 seed going into the tournament. That 4-5 matchup could be a little more difficult, but at this point, like I said earlier, those teams are so jammed together that is there really that much that separates them? It could be a roll the dice type play. Either way, it could go. So best of luck to the Wayne State baseball team on their last regular season series of the season. And last but not least, we do have our first, first NCAA regionals play of the spring season. Winter would be indoor track and field and such. But the women's golf team will be at the NCAA East Regional at the Meadows at Grand Valley State University in Allendale, Michigan, starting on Monday, May 5th, going through May 7th. How this is going to go is that obviously we said 18 teams are in, 5 of those are from the GLIAC. The top or the low 5 from the East region are going to go to nationals.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah, and just to kind of recap, we did get Wayne State's last finishes in the East Regional. Uh, had them, and then I clicked away from it. We know that in 2023, Wayne State women's golf was able to advance to their first nationals. They ended up getting the number 4 spot. Unfortunately, last year they did make the East Regionals. They did not move on. I think they were number 13 out of 15.
That sounds right. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of teams in this one. I mean, early on in the season, of course, we've always expected, for the last couple of years that we've been doing this podcast, we've expected good things from the women's golf team. Another revolving door. I mean, we have a number of new players coming in. The squad's definitely starting to figure it out. I mean, the fact that they're in regionals right now is pretty cool. They're in as it seems like the number 9 ranked team in the East region. We're talking about the top 5 are able to advance from there. So yeah, this team's got to play very, very well if they want to get into nationals. And I think at this point, this is what I expected. I mean, well, I guess this is even a little bit beyond what I expected that they're so highly ranked in the East region. We weren't really sweating it out trying to figure out if they were going to make it into regionals. They're in. If they can make it close, if they can get a top 10 finish here, maybe even like top 7, top 8, like advance over what your ranking is in the region, and that's a better finish that we had last season. And we thought that this was going to be a little bit. I mean, there's something to talk about there. And like at that point, then like you're a couple strokes away probably from being a nationals team. And I think that's everything you kind of want from this.
Yeah, and so far Wayne State has had success at least getting 2 regionals. This is going to be their 7th consecutive season getting into there. Like I said, 2024 they finished 13th, 2023 they finished 4th. Uh, 22, 21, and 2019 they finished in the single digits. So it has happened. Like I said, 2023 was their first nationals trip. It's certainly in play for them to make a run at it again. Sure that they've gone to the Meadows before, at least some of these players have. So probably a little bit more of a familiar course for them as well.
Most definitely. So that's what we got going on. So next time we talk, I know it's going to be very, very early on in the regionals tournament for the women's golf team. But otherwise, by the time we talk again, we're going to be discussing where's the Wayne State baseball team as it pertains to the GLIAC tournament. How
Yep.
did the softball team do in the GLIAC tournament? How did the track and field team do at GLIAC championships? And by the way, we'll be talking tennis and we'll be talking men's golf as they get into regionals as well. So we're just getting started here in, really regional play, but starting to kind of foreshadow some of the national relevance that these Wayne State teams are going to have.
Yeah, it's big stuff coming in for the rest of the spring season.
Yep, so good stuff there. Spring season is fantastic. A lot of stuff, fun stuff to follow there. So, with that, we appreciate everybody listening in on episode 97 of the Warrior House podcast.
And remember, it's always a great day to be a Wayne State Warrior.